two. It's something that only his second race victory. Charles Leclerc has done it. Pole position, lights out. This kid is on a roll. It's back to back. Fantastic.
After scoring his very first win in Formula 1 just 1 week ago at the Belgian Grand Prix in understandably very difficult circumstances, victory here at the Italian Grand Prix for Ferrari meant that Charles Leclerc definitely preferred his second win over his first. Back-to-back victories for Ferrari's new hotshot, but my goodness, was it an amazing Italian Grand Prix. Welcome to the Grand Review Podcast. Just 1 week on then from the Belgian Grand Prix in Spa, we are in Italy at the Autodromo Nazil di Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. Celebrating 90 years of Ferrari and its 89th race, we're at Monza. It is round number 14 of the season. After this, it's the last European race of the year before we go on to Singapore on the 22nd of September, then over to Russia, Japan, Mexico, United States, Brazil, and rounding out the season on the 1st of December. In the Drivers' Championship, Lewis Hamilton leads on 268 points. Valtteri Bottas on 203. Verstappen is fighting with Vettel and Leclerc over third place in the title. They are getting tasty, especially after Leclerc's victory. Vettel, the only driver in the top 5 not to win a race so far this year. Looking further down, Gasly and Sainz are battling over 6th. Kvyat, Raikkonen, Albon, Norris, Ricciardo, Perez and Hülkenberg, along with Stroll and Magnussen, all battling for that top 9 positions, all getting awfully close going into the end of the season. That's then followed by Grosjean on 8 points and Giovinazzi and Kubica on 1, and George Russell, the only driver without a point. In the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes leads the way, 471 points, over 100.5 clear of Ferrari, who are on 326. Red Bull as well on a class of their own on 254 in third. They look like to be the top 3 teams of the year. It's still close, McLaren 4th with Toro Rosso 5th, but Toro Rosso are battling Renault at the moment, who are also battling Racing Point. Alfa and Haas are battling it out over 8th place, and the mighty have fallen. Haas going for 4th last year, struggling to hold off 9th this year, and Williams of course just happy they've got 1 point and get some money out of the bonus boards. It's the Italian Grand Prix here at Monza, the 89th running but the 90th official Grand Prix. Welcome to the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. So after just 7 days after he won his first race in the Belgian Grand Prix and the tragedy of Anton Hubert, Formula 1 moved on to the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, and it was a renewed sense of passion and belief as the Formula 1 community came together still in mourning. It is absolutely fantastic to see Charles Leclerc back with a renewed sense of passion here in Italy. And free practice 1 on Friday, well, it was wet, 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 but Ferrari still seemed dominant. Here's the FP1 report. But let's start off with the first practice report from Monza, and Leclerc was fastest as he was a rain-hit first session. A late lap on medium tyres sent Leclerc to the top of the timesheets for the first practice session on Friday morning. McLaren's Carlos Sainz was second, proves how much wet it was, and Lando Norris was in third, Lewis Hamilton fourth, and Alexander Albon in fifth place. The session was interrupted 3 times with red flags. The first for Kimi Raikkonen, having spun the Parabolica and putting it into the wall when he's Alfa Romeo. The second with a much more heavier impact for Sergio Perez. Coming out of Ascari, he got onto the damp part of the track and literally his rear tyres and put it into the wall. He was on intermediates at the time. didn't damage the gearbox, luckily. The third red flag, well, that was caused by Pierre Gasly mounting a curb at the first corner and having to bring out the red flag for the car to be retrieved. Luckily, there was no damage. The track dried, and Leclerc, as I said, topped the timesheets at 1:27.905. Sainz said his time 3/10 off of Leclerc on soft tyres. The same went for Lando Norris. Hamilton took slicks at the end of the first practice session, spun at turn 1 and couldn't get a proper flying lap in, so finished 4th ahead of Albon in 5th. The top 5 separated by over a second. Ferrari, well, Vettel was in 8th place behind Max Verstappen. Number of spins out here today as well. Low downforce setups as well didn't help with the tyres not getting up to temperature in the cold conditions, and really it was just a bizarre first practice session. So a washout in FP1, but anyway, we did get some running. Here's the times for the first practice session. So in a very mixed up free practice one, it's Charles Leclerc who tops the timesheets at 1:27.905. Carlos Sainz second at 1:28.211. Lando Norris in third at 1:28.450. Lewis Hamilton is fourth at 1:28.730. Alexander Albon in fifth on a 1:29.025. Danny Kvyat is 6th on a 1:29.960. Max Verstappen 7th at 1:30.100. Then we get Sebastian Vettel 8th on a 1:30.507. Valtteri Bottas is 9th at 1:30.596. Pierre Gasly rounds out the top 10 on a 1:30.695. Antonio Giovinazzi is 11th on a 1:32.848. Lance Stroll is in 12th on a 1:33.976. Danny Ricciardo 13th on a 1:34.528. Kevin Magnussen 14th on a 1:34.715. Nico Hülkenberg 15th on 1:35.1133. And we get Romain Grosjean 16th on a 1:35.980. Robert Kubica 17th on 1:37.816. George Russell in 18th on a 1:38.421. 19th for Sergio Perez, he crashed out and caused out a red flag. The same goes for Kimi Raikkonen, causing a red flag of the day and ending up in 20th. It was much the same for free practice 2, however. We got some running in the morning, but the rain came and sort of delayed the running. Friday, a bit of a washout, but let's take a look at what happened in FP2. Right, let's go on to the second practice session then, and the report. And, well, once again, Charles Leclerc was fastest. He absolutely dominated Friday, topping the first 2 sessions. The first man this year to do so, by the way, to have a clean sweep going for him. Let's see if he can win the Italian Grand Prix for Ferrari, eh? FP3 qualifying tomorrow will be interesting. Leclerc was top from Lewis Hamilton in second, Sebastian Vettel, his teammate, in third, Valtteri Bottas fourth, and Max Verstappen in 5th place. Leclerc's time was a 1:20.978. The threat of rain lightened, and Mercedes wasted no time heading out onto the track first to get as much data as they possibly could, as this circuit isn't historically good to them in terms of tyre life. So that's where Ferrari this year could have the advantage. Remember what happened previous Grand Prix in Belgium, but Mercedes have won here for quite a few years. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of situations. They get lucky, basically, with a one-stopper, but they have to save their tyres, but they're good at that. Mercedes, as I said, wasted no time. Hamilton set the pace beginning of the session with a 1:21.972. Bottas was just half a second slower. Leclerc was started the session on the hard compound tyres, which switched to the softs 20 minutes in and set the fastest time with a 1:29.78. Then the rain came down and the red flag was called after everyone was in the pit lane to clear up some gravel driving them down at the Dalla Roggia chicane. So that sort of put a halt to the proceedings, and nobody could get a faster lap time in after that as the track was drying ready up. So the rain again affecting that. But it was a close field. Lando Norris didn't really get a great session either. He was stuck in the pit lane for most of the dry running, so he was stuck down in 18th place, 2.5 seconds off of Leclerc's time. He had a suspected power unit issue and gearbox issue, but he wasted no time in getting the Valentino Rossi merchandise out, as this weekend he's celebrating the 9-time world champion of MotoGP. Valentino Rossi with helmet, boots and gloves. You could say head, shoulders, knees and toes. But it was an unlikely FP2 to see Leclerc top, but they were quick in Belgium, and Ferrari once again dominate a Friday session, but with only one driver in the form of Charles Leclerc. So it's a welcome surprise as we go into Saturday here at Monza, the home of Ferrari in Italy. Right, let's take a look at the times then for free practice 2. Well, Charles Leclerc makes it a great restart to his weekend. After his victory in Belgium, he tops the second session in a much more realistic time, a 1:20.978. Lewis Hamilton second, a 1:21.046. Sebastian Vettel third, on a 1:21.179. Valtteri Bottas is fourth, a 1:21.347. Max Verstappen is fifth, but starts in the back of the grid with a penalty on 1:21.350. Alexander Albon sixth on 1:21.589. Pierre Gasly seventh on 1:22.124. Romain Grosjean is eighth on 1:22.153. Daniel Ricciardo ninth on 1:22.249. And Danny Kvyat rounds out the top 10 on 1:22.260. Nico Hülkenberg is 11th on a 1:22.338. Then we get Carlos Sainz in 12th on a 1:22.482. Kevin Magnussen 13th on a 1:22.511. Kimi Raikkonen 14th on a 1:22.523. Lance Stroll 15th on 1:22.706. Sergio Perez is 16th on a 1:22.882. Antonio Giovinazzi is 17th on 1:23.065. Lando Norris is 18th, or should we call him Nurse Norris, 1:23.561. Bobby Kubica 19th on a 1:23.737. And George Russell is 20th on a 1:24.313. Drama in the morning though on Saturday as Alex Peroni had a massive crash in the FIA Formula 3 race. He launched over one of the FIA bollards at the exit of the Parabolica. The car immediately took off like a rocket, somersaulted 3 times, landed on the halo. So already the halo proving exactly what it was meant to do, protect the driver at all costs. He was taken to hospital. He had a slight problem with his lower back, but he was released and is now flown home, which is absolutely fantastic to see. He'll be back hopefully at the next race at the Russian Grand Prix. But free practice 3 was delayed by 10 minutes, which means that the teams only had a total of 50 minutes running after having limited on Friday. Let's take a look then at what happened in free practice 3. So let's start off then with the third practice report. And start off with a tweet that Formula 1 retweeted from Lando Norris. Qualifying day, but I've got the updated engine in the trunk and all the penalties that come with it. So even if I'm on pole, I'll be starting at the back. It's not bad though. I still have my new helmet on, of course. He is paying tribute to the 9-time world champion of MotoGP, Valentino Rossi. Them two seem to be becoming very close friends after he saw him at Silverstone a few weeks ago. The start then of free practice 3 was delayed while they pay repairs down at the barrier at the Parabolica and down as well, removing the sausage curb. But it was beautiful. Track temperature was at 21 degrees, air temperature at 19, no wind speed, and humidity at 61.9 degrees, so very humid out there as well. The pit exit was remain closed while the session was going to restart. It took 10 minutes for the session to restart. J.R. Hildebrand was in the paddock as well at Haas, of course, very closely linked Hildebrand with the Haas team. The pit lane exit opened and Lando Norris was the first out onto the track, but he was also the first one to put a wheel onto the grass coming out of the Dalla Rosia chicane, so not very good for him. Teamwork makes the dream work. Danny Kvyat benefiting from the tow that Pierre Gasly was giving him down the start-finish straight towards the Rettifilio. Romain Grosjean, he was the first to have his time deleted in the afternoon, a 1:22.479. He went wide at the exit of the Parabolica. That deleted the lap time, so he was put off wide. At the halfway stage, Leclerc was top from Vettel, Ricciardo, all about doing 5 or 6 laps. Of course, we only had 20 minutes of running. Valtteri Bottas decided to go for a little bit of a flying session down at Dalla Rosia chicane, jumping over the sausage curbs there. Jamie Chadwick, the W Series champion, was at Williams as well. Of course, she's waiting for her development drive that's coming up in a few weeks' time. Charles Leclerc was the second driver to have his time deleted, along with Lando Norris and Alexander Albon, for going wide at the exit of Parabolica. So they're looking, if they go over the white line, it's all 4 4 wheels off the track. That's what they're looking for in order to give them a deleted time. Moving on. One final push with 2 minutes to go. The two Ferraris decided to go line astern. And at the exit of the pit lane, they did a practice start, and it was very good for them as well. But at the end of the session, it was Sebastian Vettel who topped for Verstappen and Bottas. Leclerc was P4. First time he's been outside the top 3 this weekend. First time he's actually been knocked off the top step this weekend. Ricciardo was 5th, Hamilton 6th, Hülkenberg 7th, Albon 8th, Giovinazzi 9th, and Danny Kvyat rounded out the top 10 as well. But we'll be back with qualifying as well. But we have got some interesting news, because coming up at 3:15 UK time, there is a announcement from Pirelli Motorsport giving that there's going to be new tyres for the 2020 FIA Formula 2 season. They're going to go to 18-inch, and then the concept tyres for the 2021 Formula 1 season, they're going to go up as well to 18-inch tyres. So stay tuned on Twitter for that, and we'll have news on that tomorrow morning in the pre-race show. So Sebastian Vettel tops the third practice session then on a 1:22.94. Max Verstappen is second, a 1:23.26. Valtteri Bottas is third, a 1:24.03. Charles Leclerc fourth, a 1:24.03. The same time as Valtteri Bottas. Unbelievable that it's very rare in Formula 1. Fifth for Danny Ricciardo, a 1:25.64. Lewis Hamilton in 6th on a 1:25.95. Nico Hülkenberg is 7th on a 1:27.52. Alexander Albon is 8th on a 1:28.27. Antonio Giovinazzi 9th on 1:28.81. Danny Kvyat is 10th on 1:29.45. Carlos Sainz in 11th on a 1:29.49. Sergio Perez is 12th on 1:21.003. Pierre Gasly 13th at 1:21.073. Then that's also then followed by Lando Norris 14th at 1:21.292. Kimi Räikkönen 15th at 1:21.325. Kevin Magnussen 16th at 1:21.336. Then we get a 1:21.621 for Romain Grosjean in 17th. 18th for Lance Stroll at 1:21.639. George Russell 19th at 1:22.374. And Robert Kubica in 20th at 1:22.758. It was all looking good going into qualifying, a nice close one between Ferrari and Mercedes, but qualifying turned out to be a shambles. Here's the qualifying report from the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. So let's take a look at the qualifying report, and as ever we'll start with the first part of qualifying. Leclerc, very impressive as Hülkenberg and Perez stoppages bring out the red flag in qualifying number 1. A note from race director Michael Masi ahead of the session enforced a minimum speed for drivers. They must complete the circuit within 1 minute and 45 seconds. So that is after the dramatic Formula 3 qualifying the other day. That meant that the teams had to be extra canny in putting their drivers out in just the right place on the circuit to gain the toe, which is the slipstream advantage. It's such a high-speed circuit with a series of straights that getting the toe can be worth 0.2 of a second. That is why it's important, and that's why we saw in Formula 3 loads of drivers trying to get that advantage. He may have to start from the back of the grid anyway, but there was worries for Max Verstappen, who reported issues with his Red Bull Honda power unit on the one run he had in the session. He didn't complete the time. He was 20th, but he starts to 20th anyway, so no worries there. There was a brief stoppage. Meanwhile, Sergio Perez pulled off what looked to be his second power unit issue in as many weeks for Racing Point. Having not set a good time enough, he was put no higher than 17th on the grid when he stopped and found himself out of Q1, meaning that teammate Lance Stroll out-qualified him for the first time this season, and that means the first time in their current partnership. Knocked out of the session as well was Romain Grosjean, narrowly pushed into the drop zone in the final moments of the session, along with Williams' George Russell, teammate Robert Kubica, and of course Max Verstappen, who never set a time. So just to confirm, knocked out in qualifying 1 were Grosjean, Perez, Russell, Kubica and Verstappen. On to qualifying 2 then, and for the first time this weekend, Mercedes topped the timesheets with Lewis Hamilton in the lead ahead of Charles Leclerc. The first time this weekend
that Mercedes have topped the timesheets, not Ferrari having dominated all 3 practice sessions in the first part of qualifying. Hamilton and Mercedes found themselves outpacing the Ferraris for the first time in the weekend, just by 0.089 of a second at the end of Q2, and having been generously towed around Monza by teammate Bottas as Vettel were finished in 3rd place. It was a very much a turf war between Alfa Romeo's Antonio Giovinazzi, who missed out on a place in Q3, and his home track by just 2/1000ths of a second, that's 2,000ths of a second, by his teammate of Kimi Raikkonen. Horrible for him as well. He was eliminated on with the second hazard Kevin Magnussen, which put, plus the 2 Toro Rossos, Danny Kvyat and Pierre Gasly, split by Lando Norris. So just to confirm, Lando Norris is set to start from the back of the grid as well, as he's taken a new power unit of Renault. So eliminated in qualifying 2 were Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Kvyat, Gasly and Norris. On to qualifying 3 now, and it was Charles Leclerc who took pole position. But it was one of the most stupidest things ever seen in Formula 1, and certainly one of the most bizarrest. First off, qualifying 3 was red flagged after Kimi Raikkonen, on his first hot lap, came round the parabolica, just touched the curb, got a little bit of oversteer and put it into the back of the barrier. He's wrecked his gearbox, he has a 5-place grid penalty, he'll start 15th on the grid. But the red flag came out, and that stopped Valtteri Bottas from sending a lap time in the session in the first half. But, interesting enough, the stewards investigated Sebastian Vettel for sending his fastest lap in Q3 with all 4 wheels off the track. However, later deemed that they gave him the benefit of the doubt. When the session resumed, it was the waiting game, and the first one to blink was Renault's Nico Hülkenberg. However, on the last lap of qualifying, everybody decided to try an IndyCar restart. 2 by 2, blocking each other, holding each other up, all trying to be the last one to get a tow, because nobody wanted to be the first. That means that Carlos Sainz let it go. Charles Leclerc just crossed the line before the checkered flag came out, but every other driver missed the opportunity to put a fast lap in. The red lights came on, they all missed the checkered flag. What a disaster here in qualifying 3. A crazy qualifying then here at Monza. I'm joined now by Dad. Hi Dad, you were in the commentary box as well. That was a horrific shambles.
Well, what can you say about it? A bunch of kids in the morning got it all wrong. A bunch of older kids in the afternoon got it completely wrong. And we know what the tow was for, but did they all have to do that? That was ridiculous. Christian said that it was a shambles. Toto said he couldn't believe it. 35 years of racing and he's never seen anything like it. He should have watched us in the morning when the F3 did it. And at the end of the day, what happened? All went to the stewards, and what happened? F3, all penalised. You know,
everyone starting in the back of the grid.
Armstrong, completely in F2, loses his pole for something minor, right? And then, sorry, loses his podium for something minor. Is it the fact that Ferrari, Italian Grand Prix, are 2 cars involved, that we got no action virtually against the top 10 yesterday? Not you, Kimi.
No, yeah, he was right.
You were just daft enough to put it in the barriers.
He does have a 5-place grid penalty, by the way, Kimi Raikkonen, so he does start 15th on the grid with that. So that promotes his teammate Giovinazzi on home soil up into 10th place. But it was like watching an IndyCar restart in terms of a normal Formula 1 qualifying. That was just it was not
right. At least
right.
I know where they're going.
Yeah,
it was a case of the fact that Sainz, who got penalised even more than the rest, decided, hang on a minute, we're not going to make the end here. Right? I mean, Hülkenberg, what he did, right? I know every driver does it, but what he did, and he wasn't penalised as much as Sainz.
No, just for that, he could have crossed the turn 1 deliberately to avoid towing Stroll.
Rosberg.
Yeah, which he did a few years ago.
And who complained about that and said, don't listen, every driver does it, and anyone who doesn't do it is lying.
Was it Nico?
Yeah.
Yeah, what a surprise.
just to pick up on that as well.
Our rival, by the way, because he's got a lot more money, a lot more equipment, and he actually gets these passes that say access all area.
Yeah. Well, we didn't, but that's a different story. Well, we did sort of, but didn't. That's another story for the podcast coming up on Tuesday. All drivers in qualifying 3 were under investigation for unsafe driving and blocking. Vettel, Hülkenberg, Sainz and Stroll all cleared of charges, especially Sebastian Vettel, but Hülkenberg, Sainz and Stroll got an official reprimand for that, and Vettel was also under investigation for another reason, for his Q2 lap in red flagging, but he went off at the parabolica. They gave him the benefit of the doubt.
How do you think the guys in 10th and further on felt when the lads in front of them were allowed to do that and get away with it?
I know, it's ridiculous, because 19 of the 30 cars in Formula 3 got a penalty for that, and if that had changed, it would have been the front row of Stroll and Magnussen first and second.
Yeah.
And I think that should have been what happened, because that was a farce.
It was deemed to have been, if we do what we need to do, it would be too dangerous.
Yeah, and especially because we've got Leclerc on
pole.
pole.
In Formula 2 and Formula 3 with the reverse grid pole all the time, so you actually get people battling for that 8th position, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because
they give up the 7th position to keep 8th, so they get pole on the Sunday.
And more points in the championship. Yeah, the constructors didn't happen like that.
I'm going real Yorkshire.
Yes, well, it was an bye-bye gun moment. I think I've done that wrong.
Yorkshire tea with now taken out.
I do like Yorkshire tea. We'll just do it quickly then.
Caffeine free.
Caffeine free, yeah. That's you. Yeah, you're caffeine free.
Caffeine free.
I buzz around the country.
My name is caffeine free.
Just pick it up then, just quick. No.
Caffeine free.
No. Let's pick up on what happened then.
To my school.
No, see, I told you he was full of jokes when he first came into it.
My physics teacher, Seymour Clearly, he's got a new job now. He's retired. Specsavers.
Yeah, I knew they were going with that one. Right, let's just quickly then take a look at the grid then for the Italian Grand Prix. Well, just before the start of the Italian Grand Prix, the grid massively changed, with everyone being in shambles in qualifying. So this is how they lined up on the grid. Charles Leclerc on pole position with Lewis Hamilton alongside. Row 2 sees Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel. Row 3, Danny Ricciardo and Nico Hülkenberg. Row 4, Carlos Sainz, Alexander Albon. Row 5, Lance Stroll and Antonio Giovinazzi. Row 6, Kevin Magnussen, Danny Kvyat. Row 7, Romain Grosjean and George Russell. Row 8, Robert Kubica, Lando Norris. Row 9, Pierre Gasly, Sergio Perez. And row 10 sees Max Verstappen. Starting from the pit lane was Kimi Raikkonen. Your commentators for the 2019 Heineken Italian Grand Prix were Joshua Birch and Ian Birch.
The Italian Grand Prix, race 14, lap 1.
It's the last race of the European season. We're in Italy, the home of the Tifosi. There is a Ferrari on pole in the form of race winner Charles Leclerc. Can he repeat it today? 5 lights on. Action at Monza. Great start from Leclerc. Bottas gets the jump and he immediately goes side by side with Vettel, but Hamilton has the inside line coming down to the Rettifilio. Is anyone going to make contact? Bottas up into second place. He's going for the lead. Hamilton cuts back. We've got a car in the wall. It's Max Verstappen. Can he get going again? We've got a Haas going through, and I believe Sergio Perez going through the escape road. Side by side, Carlos Sainz with one of the other racing points as they blast down to the Rettifilio. This is where we saw contact last year. This is with the crunch point. Hülkenberg takes Vettel. Vettel drops down the order again, down to 5th place. Hülkenberg's up into 4th place now as we round the Lesmos for the first time and head down underneath the old banking in just a few moments' time. Leclerc leads from Hamilton, from Bottas, Hülkenberg, Vettel, Ricciardo, Stroll, Sainz, Albon, and Albon's up into 9th place according to my monitor. That is a brilliant start for Alexander Albon, but Verstappen down to 9th and Kimi Raikkonen has now left the pit lane as we head down through the Ascari chicane down towards the Parabolica. It was indeed the racing point of Sergio Perez going off the track along with what I believe to be Romain Grosjean. As Lando Norris into 17th place, then he's lost a position. He must have got caught up with it at the start.
Lap 2.
New nose for Verstappen. It was him who touched the wall. But he's still running, and that's better than the last Grand Prix.
Lap 3.
As Albon launches it up the inside of Carlos Sainz into the Dalla Rosia chicane. Sainz is going to come back at him on the inside, coming into Lesmo 1 and gets back through. But Albon's holding him round the outside. track goes Alexander Albon, and he's going to rejoin in a very dangerous position. But that was racing, but obviously that gap was always going to disappear.
Lap 6.
And round goes Sebastian Vettel! Sebastian Vettel is round! And he is off! Down at the Ascari chicane! What has happened? And off! And that's going to have to be a red flag. We've got cars going into the gravel trap. Oh, and off goes Pierre Gasly. So that was, I think, Sergio Perez off, and there's cars left, right and centre. Vettel with a broken front wing.
Got a broken front wing, and he'll probably get disciplined for that anyway. He came back onto the track in a dangerous way. He's caused Stroll to spin.
And Gasly went through the gravel trap.
Gasly, which pushed Gasly into the gravel trap.
I want to see a replay of that because that is chaotic. That is eventually...
This could be game over for Sebastian in this race.
Let's have a look. So into... Oh, he lost it at the exit of Ascari and just spun the car.
Yeah, just spun the car.
And it's going to be a dangerous comeback,
he just comes back onto the track.
Oh, just catches Stroll.
That's game, set and match.
Yeah, that's a black flag in my opinion for coming back on the track in a dangerous manner. That's got to be a black flag. It is under investigation.
Lap 12.
10-second stop-going penalty for car 5 of Sebastian Vettel returning to the track in an unsafe manner.
Lap 23.
Leclerc is going to get past Hülkenberg into the Parabolica. They're going to go side by side. This is for position as well. Hülkenberg goes wide, but Leclerc does a great move. And now Hamilton's going to deal with Hülkenberg as well. They're still racing for position, remember. So Hamilton's got the toe from the Renault and from the Ferrari. And look how much quicker he is. He has to dive to the outside into the Rettifilio. Leclerc just holds him off for third place. Ricciardo's just ahead. But boy, oh boy, is this heating up. As round now, the Curva Grande down towards the Dalla Rosia. Hamilton's got the pace. Leclerc knows it. Hamilton to the outside, coming into Dalla Rosia. Leclerc cuts him off. They run, and off goes Hamilton. Hamilton off the track, has to cut back. Hülkenberg does the same to not avoid drama, but Leclerc stays ahead.
Lap 24.
Black and white flag for car 16 of Charles Leclerc. So for the second race weekend running,
Cop out.
Yeah, no penalty, just a warning.
Lap 28.
Oh, there's a wheel loose! There's a wheel loose for Carlos Sainz! Carlos Sainz got a wheel loose and he's having to stop! Ted just screamed at us! And Carlos Sainz is out of the Grand Prix! This might cause a safety car, Dad!
What a shame.
Carlos Sainz out of the Grand Prix! A loose wheel nut, let's take a look! So they all come on, they all go on. Oh, it's the front right! It didn't go, they stopped and then they went! And an unsafe release. Verstappen pits, and I think it's a safety car. We haven't got the live timing up in the commentary box. Unfortunately, it has all blown. It's just double yellows at the moment, Dad. Say virtual safety car. Virtual safety car called to recover. Virtual safety car now called to recover. And look how much time Hamilton gained there on Leclerc. He's had to drop back. But now look, Leclerc and Hamilton are coming up to lap Sebastian Vettel.
Lap 31.
Wow, and off and out is Danny Kvyat. And he has stopped down at the Rettifilio.
I think that's an engine failure.
And that's a Honda engine failure. And as soon as Fernando Alonso appears, there seems to be an engine failure for Honda. And that might have to be another virtual safety car. It is another virtual safety car has been called. And this has worked out brilliantly for Danny Ricciardo, who might just be able to hold on to his fourth place. That too. Wow.
Lap 36.
Leclerc is closing in on Bottas in second in the title, isn't he, at the moment? Hamilton at the moment. Hamilton is just running away, and he's locked up! Off! And back on again! Leclerc locks up at the Rettifilio, and now Lewis Hamilton is all over the back of him, round the Curva Grande. Leclerc's going to have to defend for his life. Hamilton looks to the outside. He's going to send it out the inside, but backs out of it. And Charles Leclerc was very, very lucky there. That was almost a repeat, Dad, of Canada.
Lap 42.
Oh, he's locked up and he's off the track.
And he's off.
Rosberg did that.
This will bring Bottas in.
Rosberg did that back in 2015 and it cost him the position, and now Valtteri Bottas into second place. Hamilton locked up. He did that as well. Actually, Hamilton did that in 2014. That gave the lead to Rosberg. Then Rosberg did it the following year and gave the lead to Hamilton. Once again here at Monza, Mercedes locks up at the Rettifilio, and now Hamilton is out of it, and Bottas comes into the party to take the lead away.
It's very rare you see Lewis make a mistake like this.
He decided not to go over the sausage curbs and take the bollards instead, and that's going to affect him for the rest of the race as well. That might be Lewis out of victory today, but it might still go to Valtteri Bottas.
Lap 51.
3 laps to go though, here at the Italian Grand Prix, and with 0.5 of a second the gap, Valtteri Bottas is right on the back of Charles Leclerc. We're in for a showdown at the Temple of Speed, and he's going to be too deep into the Rettifilio, and that's going to allow Lando Norris to have a little bit of a look, but Norris has to back out because he's a lap down. And well, is that Lando Norris or is that Valentino Rossi in a Formula 1 car? That's the question.
Lap 53.
Last lap the call. What's going to happen in the Italian Grand Prix? Leclerc leads the way at the moment. It has to be the best lap of his life. The Tifosi are cheering him on to victory in Monza. Look, the Italian flags are getting ready. The green, the white and the red to be waved in honour of not only a Frenchman but in honour of an Italian winner with the Ferrari at home soil. Can it be done? Radio Bottas, oh, he made a mistake.
Overtake is available.
He made a mistake coming out of the Dalla Rosia chicane. This might be it done. Charles Leclerc into the second Lesmo, down the back straightaway. Can he do it? Can he win in Monza? 1.266 the gap. It's close. The Tifosi round Ascari have got their arms in the air. I think it's too late, you know. On this day, on the 8th of September, in 1996, in his first year, Michael Schumacher won the loyalty of the Tifosi by winning at Monza. It was 2010, their last win. Charles Leclerc for Ferrari wins the Italian Grand Prix. It's Forza Ferrari. It's Forza Leclerc. And once again, it is victory for Ferrari. They have won the Italian Grand Prix for the first time in 9 years. Something that not only Sebastian Vettel couldn't do, it's something that only his second race victory, Charles Leclerc has done it. Pole position, lights out. This kid is on a roll. It's back to back. Fantastic.
Next race, Singapore.
One of the greatest Italian Grand Prix I think I've ever seen in Formula 1. That had everything. And for the first time in over 9 years, Ferrari have finally won an Italian Grand Prix. It only took 1 hour, 15 minutes and 26 seconds, which is close enough to the quickest time a Grand Prix has been completed. If we didn't have those two virtual safety cars, it would have been the fastest race in Formula 1 history. Of course, not counting the 1991 Australian Grand Prix. That only ran to 14 laps. I mean, the fastest one to go to full distance. Right, let's go through the results then and give you the driver ratings that I've got. And it's my turn to do it this time out, being in Italy. It's Charles Leclerc who wins the Italian Grand Prix. He gets a total of 5 points as well. He gets to enjoy this victory more than any other. Valtteri Bottas in second. He did well, 4 points for me. It's Lewis Hamilton in third place. He only gets 3, of course. He's been off the pace all weekend, made some silly mistakes in the race, and as Dad said, it's very rare you see Lewis making mistakes, so he only gets 3. Danny Ricciardo fourth, and Nico Hülkenberg in fifth for Renault. Both get 5 for me. An outstanding performance and their highest results of the year so far for Renault. They've been outstanding. 4 points to Alexander Albon in 6th place as well. Sergio Perez gets 4. Max Verstappen, he gets 5. He started 19th on the grid and he got into 8th place. Fantastic for him. Antonio Giovinazzi in 9th, a lap down though. He only gets 3 points. Lando Norris in 10th place, getting that point, gets a total of 3 points. Pierre Gasly in 11th place, just outside of the points as well for Toro Rosso. He gets 3 points. Lance Stroll, he gets a total of 2 points, only because of that contact. Sebastian Vettel gets 1 point for that spin at the Ascari chicane, nearly taking out Lance Stroll as well. Vettel also getting 2 penalty points for that, which means he's on 9 penalty points. If he gets 3 more in the space of the next 12 months, he is out for one Grand Prix with a ban. So keep an eye on that going into the next few Grand Prix. George Russell, 14th as well. He gets some 3 points. He's had a great weekend. Kimi Raikkonen, he only gets 2 points. Romain Grosjean, a lap down as well, 2 points. Robert Kubica the same with only 2 points. Kevin Magnussen out of the race, 1 point for the weekend. The same goes for Danica Kvyat and Carlos Sainz, who was running well until the wheel fell off the wagon. But it was a close Italian Grand Prix. Now, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time, I believe, for the Singapore Grand Prix. It's a back-to-back with Russia, and it should be an absolute classic. It always goes to the 2-hour distance, though, so it is going to be quite close to watch what's going to happen when we go under the lights in Singapore for the 12th time. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We're all here. Bye for now.